All right, when it comes to business, right? So this is business, right? When it comes to business, there were three things, right? You got to make everything more simple. You got to make sure that you outreach, and you got to make sure you're skill developing, right? But let's go a little bit more in depth on what does simple mean. So again, simple is a term that's pretty simple, right? If you just apply it. But if you understand it more, you kind of it kind of stems to, you have to be clear, you have to be objective, you have to be investive, and then you have to be you have to have an attitude geared towards success, which is you have to be sort of patient. You have to be kind of searching for improvement. You have to be there. You have to be, loyal. You have to be more loyal to yourself. There's you have to, and there's all these little variables that come with, making things more simple. So that's the goal. So, number one, you have to make everything more clear, right? When you have everything more clear, you're more able to get it. You're more able to run at something. Let's say you're in a place, right, and there's smoke all around you, right? And you have to run towards a place. Are you gonna run through the smoke, right? And then maybe there's some wall or some door you have to open, right? But you hit the door and you're like, fuck, right? Whereas if you make the smoke vanish and it's more clear, well, you're more able to be like, I gotta go over there, And then it goes to being more patient. Be patient. Be more patient. And patient also, be more patient, basically. When you're more patient, two things happen. Number one, you're able to more or less settle down in the trench. You're more or less able to settle down in a trench, right? You're more or less able to be like, okay, this is my work. I'm gonna get it done, and you're more able to come to grips with the fact that you're gonna be there, right? You're gonna be there for the process. You're just gonna be there and be there and be there for the process, not even for the goal or the outcome, right? Because it's through the process of you refining your skills is where you're going to find a little bit more transcendence towards a peaceful, more of a transcendence toward a more peaceful life. Okay, a little bit more peaceful. All right. So also, you have to be more loyal to yourself. You have to be like, you know what? I kind of forgive myself. I'm the same person I was, 2 years ago, right? I've increased a little bit my skills. I'm still the same person though. So I can't look back and be like, you know what? That was bad on him, Like, I can't look back and be like that, I can't look back on that. What I have to do is I have to support the guy, and I have to be like, you know what? I'm with you. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, because I again, you understand that you kind of stick with the decision you make in life the older you get, right? But if you were to look back and be like, you know what, I'm here for this guy. I'm here to support him. I'm here to be like, you know what? Your decision was your decision based on your skill level. I increased my skill level. I'm the same guy. Let's get this idea that you kind of change who you are, or you transform yourself, or whatever, right? It's more or less like you are upgrading yourself. You're now more upgraded. I'm the same guy I was 2 years ago. Okay, I'm the same guy. I just have a little bit more upgraded stuff, right? I do a little bit more. And that's the way it's going to be in 2 years. It's never going to be like, oh, I'm a different person now. Yeah, that guy was bad, or that guy was ugly, or that guy sucked. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be more like, you know what? And it's loyalty to your past self that will help you be loyal to your future self. It's that'll help you. because you're gonna start to be like, you know what, I could be loyal to myself in the past, right? But if I'm loyal to myself now, to my future person, doesn't that mean that I kind of have my back? Like, why do I kind of need anyone else? You know, if I'm loyal to myself in the future, right? If I'm just loyal, right? Why would I ever feel lonely? You know, like why would I ever feel alone? Why would I ever want somebody else? Why would I want a business partner? Why would I want, why would I ever think I needed that if I have myself in the past and I have myself in the future? Why would I ever need that? That's another variable. Another variable is you have to be, what's simple. You have to focus on the process of making it more simple. You have to exercise more. You have to kind of, I wouldn't say boil, but you have to kind of make stuff more condensed, like more. You have to make things more. You have to make things more powerful in a way, because you have to make things a little bit more, increase a little bit the power of something. Because when you increase the power of something, you don't need so much of it. Like if I have an instruction, right? You could say the same instruction. You could give it in you could prepare instruction, right? But if you prepared it for 5 more weeks, you'd have something a little bit more powerful, right? So it's stuff like that. That's kind of how you make it a little bit more simple. Also, you make things more, more prepared, right? You make things more powerful. You put more into them. You accumulate more work into what you're doing. That makes it more simple, right? And simplicity ways, okay? Simplicity is kind of what'll help you do your stuff, and it'll help you communicate to others what you need done. Because once you're more simple, people will understand it far easier than if it's complicated. It's going to be a lot more easier to understand something that's more simple, right? And when it's more simple, it's not necessarily that it's stupid or it's dumb or it's lazy. It just means that you are able to condense. If anything, it's kind of far from being lazy, because you're now able to you're more able to be directive. There's more direction with being simple. There's more like there's 2 steps. There's 1 step. I just do this again and again and again and again, and I'm able to get the same outcome that it takes me like months ago 7 steps. It's stuff like that where when it comes down to it, you're gonna want it to be simple, because you're gonna want it to be more you're gonna want it to have more direction and be more precise. Also, with simplicity, you have to be more precise, right? You have to focus on your precision and be like, does that matter? That's what actually matters here. Boom, 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 boom. And then you kind of revise it, and you say, what kind of matters here? Boom, 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 boom. And you just keep doing stuff like this. And you engage your precision. You're kind of like, okay, let me make this more precise now. Boom. More precise. What is that? What exactly? What actually do I want here? Once you're more precise, you're going to start kind of realizing that and understanding, like, okay, I don't think that really, I think I only need these 2 things. And you're going to be able to work more on the things that matter. So let's say previously you were working on 6 things that matters, right? It matters at that moment, right? That's your system. That's how simple your system is. 6 steps. You do 6 things. But now you make your things 2 steps, right? You make things 2 steps. And now you're able to put in the same amount of work into 2/3 less things. So now it's kind of like you're inputting more work into less steps, you know. And reframe the way you look at it, right? Always reframe it in the way that is more kind of driven for you to take on a little bit more responsibility at a time, because a lot of the time you are the person that sets responsibility for yourself, right? And you have to make sure that in order to get the things you want, you have to set more responsibility for yourself. And that comes down to simplicity, right? If you have everything simple, if I just wake up, right, and all I have to do is 2 things, like today, all I have to do is this like 3 2-step systems, you can just knock it out, dude. Like, yes, the work is there, but now there's kind of like less to read. There's less to start. It's easier to start. It's easier to set that spark. It's easier to be like ignite. It's easier to ignite what you want. You know, it's easier for you to get it done. It's easier to you to show initiative to yourself. It's easier to be like, you know what? I got this done. You know what? I got this on the board today. This is on the scoreboard. You hit a tally. Then you do another thing. That's on the tally. You hit another thing. That's on the tally. And sooner or later, you're going to be done, right? And then you're going to rest. And then you're going to be like, okay, I'm recuperating now. I'm recuperating my rest. Okay. You know, I'm now resting so that when I'm ready to work again, I can work again. You know, and then I'm going to be able to get what I want. You know, it's things like that kind of, you know, set you towards a life. You know, people talk about, oh, I'm in the fast lane, right? Well, what about the lane that gets you towards a life that you want more? You know, what about the life that it's not the fast lane, right? But it's kind of like the lane that I can just get it. I can get it done. 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 The lane of getting it done, you know? F the fast lane, but now you're in the lane of getting it done. Okay. All right. It's good so far, right? Then you have to focus on outreaching. All right? When you commence outreaching, don't look at people as if they're different. Don't look at people as if they're somehow everyone is equal to each other. Everyone simply has their own personal progression, right? This guy has simply been doing it for longer than me. He's simply been working more than me, right? And that's it. He has these things because he's just worked more. And that's fair. I'm all right with that. Because that's fine, right? I'm all right with that. Nobody's attacking him. Nobody's doing this to him. Nobody's doing XYZ to him. That's fine. And then I'm going to do the same thing, you know? You know, it's like I'm going to create my own business like him. Or her, right? I'm going to create my own business. And it's going to be the same thing. And in 20 years, there's going to be a guy that was just like me, looking at me and being like, wow, okay, same thing, same ordeal, all right? But when you outreach to him, just let him know, like, you have to account for your skill level. Because when you account for your skill level, once you account for your skill level, you're going to be able to kind of be more secure with how you're outreaching. Because if you're you're going to be more confident in what you're doing when you account for your skill level. Because if I'm at skill level 3, right, and I ask for level 3 money, like I'm like, okay, I account for me being level 3, and I ask this guy, hey, I'm going to do level 3 work for you. I'm level 3. This is what I think level 3 should cost. It's a lot more from you. It's a lot more secure. Like, okay, if this guy doesn't like it, right, then it's kind of like, well, I kind of did my job, right? I kind of did up to the point of I worked, right? Up to the point that I worked. Well, I kind of have something in mind, and he's kind of like, no, I kind of want XYZ, right? Like, number one, you're gonna be more secure. Where you're gonna be like, here, this is the offer. Meaning you're going to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to go to this guy. Here's the offer. Here's the offer. Here's the offer. Here's the offer. With more, here's the offers, right? You're going to be able to more or less get, more people who are interested in your offer, right? Not that you're going to get them, right? But you're going to stand up, go in front of them. Here's the offer. Here's the offer to number one. Here's the offer to the second guy. Here's the offer to the third guy. Here's the offer to the fourth guy, right? Here's the offer to the fifth guy with the business. Here's the guy with the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th offer to the business, right? Etc. Right? Here are the offers, and you're doing it more. You're gonna gain. You're gonna be like setting up outposts. Do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it? And you're gonna be more secure once you account for your skill level, right? And because you're gonna have an offer that you kind of back up. Now, number two is you're gonna be more. You are going to be more. What would I say? You are going to be more. A little bit more self-reliant. You're going to be more reliant on yourself because you're going to be like, hey, I have this offer. I understand it up to this point, right? I got this down. This is the offer. And if they say no, well, you're going to be like, well, then they didn't want it, right? They didn't want it. Well, let me go to this next guy. Then this guy didn't want it. Let me go to this next guy. Let me go to this next guy. And once you go to enough to let me go to this guy, right? You get some guy that maybe says, this is, I'd pay this for this. I'd pay less, right? I'd pay less. Like the I pay less story, right? You're going to have something that you back up. And you're going to be like, you know what? I kind of did the work. This is my skill, right? And I kind of focused on this. Don't get me wrong. You focused on your skill, business guy, that I outreach to. But I kind of focused on my skill that I did. So if you want to pay less, here's the rate, here's the offer, right? Here is my offer. You're gonna have more self-reliance because now you're backing it up with the work you did. A big thing in business is your self-reliance, your ability to be like, you know what, this is what I kind of accounted for. This is what it kind of is for me, right? This is what I accounted for. This is it. And when it comes to self-reliance, right? You're going to start understanding that the world is kind of built by people, right? People started like you, just letting you know. People started like you. It's kind of like the example how I hear that, Messi, Ronaldo, right? The debate between the GOATs, right? Or the debate, right? Between these guys are like the super fabulosos, right? But who's to say that the defenders aren't working at practice, aren't working at a similar kind of exchange as Messi and Ronaldo, So these guys, right, these guys are no different than you. These guys had to work the same. And what you account for is kind of what you got, basically. And with self-reliance, you kind of learn that what you accounted for is kind of what you're gonna get, basically. And that's great because now you're like, okay, well, I got this. It's not about a sense of freedom. It's more or less like I am now just working with creating my life, with building my life. I'm working on understanding more about where I'm going, the direction I'm going with my life. I'm working on that. So that's something with business, with outreaching. And then also with outreaching, you have to understand where you're going. There's one thing to position yourself with the skill level, right? It's another thing you have to do a little bit of not goal setting, but think like with your positioning, right? You can now account for your objectives. You have objectives now. With my positioning, I have the objective that I can do X. I can get this money goal. I can get a client for $200, $300 a month, right? I have this objective because I have positioned myself with my skill level to be like, you know what? I got this. I can get this, and this is where loyalty to yourself comes in also. It's about understanding that you aren't the same. Like everyone's a different person, right? But everyone also has to work at their skills. So like, have you ever gone into a business and it feels like everything is like so like that's what it is, right? Like that's the standard and XYZ, right? But when you try doing a business, it's kind of like you kind of build up your standard. Like it's kind of like okay, you and your self-reliance, you and your skill set, you and your qualities, your abilities, it's up to you to come together with an offer and come together with an accounting and come together with a process where you can calculate, you can calculate things about your business that matter, right? That actually matter. And once you do that, you are then able to then set these little objectives where you're like, I can do that. And enough of these, like objective number 1, objective number 2, objective number 3. And with these objectives, you are now able to kind of like plot out I'd say maybe like you're able to start out your home. Like say like you build Minecraft, right? Okay, I have this objective. I have this objective, right? But it's in real life. So I have these objectives that I'm doing, right? That I can complete. And I am I'm mostly confident that I can get them. And I'm mostly confident that I can deliver and over-deliver for my clients, And the deeper you understand, your skill, deeper you understand your qualities, the deeper you understand even the self-reliance. The deeper you understand this stuff, the more you're going to be able to act on it. The more you're going to be able to be like, I got to do XYZ. I got to do XYZ. The deeper you're going to be able to get stuff done, the more you're going to be able to act on things, right? Because you're going to be able to understand it, then act. All right? So that's kind of with outreach. And then also with outreach comes your it's kind of like not looking at it as a pitch, right? You're not pitching anything. You're not like you're not creating like a presentation. Like, yes, it's like, okay, I'm gonna show you what you're gonna get, right? I'm gonna be transparent. This is what you're getting. This is how much I charge. Are you interested?
Also, when it comes to outreach, the amount of outreaches you send doesn't nearly matter as much as the quality of the outreach. Here's what I mean. So you want your outreach to, show your offer. You want it to be very, you want it to be easy to, understand. You want your offer to be easy to understand. And what this means is you explain, what this is, you explain what they're getting, you explain all the investments that the client may have to do to pay you, and in addition to paying you, they may have to have a time investment or a work investment to help you produce the work. You have to focus on making sure that they know what's available, they know what you're giving, right? Whereas the quantity of it when you focus on the actual outreach, when you focus on like preparing, when you focus on making sure that your offer is shown properly or shown all the way, is you 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 are kind of determining the relationship within you and the person that you're outreaching to, and that matters more than the amount of relationships you have, the amount of outreaches you output. um it'd be like if you give it'd be like if a businessman, like let's say they're selling a product, right? I don't know, Herbalife, right? But like they focus on showing you the product, showing you the benefits, showing you all this, instead of like not doing that and doing it to more people. You get it? So you just make sure that your outreach is it shows what you offer properly. Now, when it comes to skill development, um, you got to make sure that you are being, you're being as consistent as you set the basis to. You want to make sure that you are being, you know, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You want to make sure that you are, you want to make sure that um, you are understanding what you're doing. You want to make sure that you're making sense of what you're doing, because as you understand more, as you make sense of what you're doing, you become more skilled. Like you add another layer of understanding, meaning there's another layer that you can add on to what you're doing. There's another layer you can execute on. There's more things you could be doing, you know. There's more things that you could do. There's the quality of your things that you do is going to be higher. Um, it's just like that. It's just like that. That's kind of what's going to happen. So don't be afraid to skill develop. Don't be afraid to improve your skill. Um, Another thing is you want to organize your skills. You want to be like, I'm doing this, 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 this. You want to be clear on what you're doing. You want to be like, okay, this is what I'm working on. Okay. You want to be able to focus on what you're doing. Um, Another thing is you want to make your skills condensed. You want to be like, this is this, this is this. Instead of having 7 things, instead of having 10 things, you only have 2 things or 3 things. That's going to help you concentrate on what you're doing. And with concentration, you can progress more. Okay, with concentration. Also, when you always be sure to continue. Now, don't approach skill development from a shy place. Don't be shy when you're doing this, because if you're shy, it's gonna take longer for you to realize to not be shy. So, like, here's what I mean. Skill development is meant for you to, it's meant for you to, yes, increase your skill level, but it's also meant for you to become a person who has a higher skill level, become the person that has the higher skill level. You are going to improve yourself. You're going to improve this. And don't be shy to do it. Go in there. I wouldn't say attack, but go in there with your force. Start to go into skill development. Just start. And you are going to, get the benefits of skill development. You're going to be able to do XYZ now. You're going to be able to do this. You're going to produce this. And, these things, these acts compound. Like, they compound. Over time, they compound, they compound, they compound, they compound, they compound. with enough reps, with enough sets, you're going to be able to see the difference in your skill level, you know, and make sure you keep it manageable. Because if you don't keep your skill level manageable, if you don't keep doing it manageable, what's going to end up happening is it's going to be a little too much on you, and you're going to take time to return back. You don't want to take time to return back. What you want to do is you want to be, low and slow. You want to be able to do it every single time you set, every your consistent basis. You want to be able to do it again and again and again. That you improve that skill, because once you improve that skill, of any skill, right, it's gonna help your other skills, and when it helps your other skills, that's very good, because now you're gonna be able to improve the other skills more, So just in hindsight of me, starting my business, I would say that number one, it would be get rest. Don't get rest. It would be and these things you learn them with experience. You learn what you're doing with experience. You learn what you're doing with enough reps. Okay, you learn that you're not this is actual like work, and you need rest from this work. You need rest from it. You need to maintain composure. You need to maintain, an attitude that's, I'm going to continue. Like, I'm going to continue. An attitude of, I'm going to keep going. Just like that. You gotta maintain composure. You gotta maintain doing the same things. It's not that it's boring. It's just that you haven't built up that ability to continue and pursue your goals to a level that you can be like, yeah, I'm pursuing it at a rate that I want to progress at. And you can change the rate that you want to progress at. You can be like, I want it higher, But it's once you reframe what you are doing, the thing you are doing changes. Now, just reframe it, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna see that there are many places where you could focus. You're gonna see that there is many things you could be doing. You're gonna start to notice, certain things, or you want to improve certain things. If you maintain, if you keep reframing things, there are certain outcomes. There are certain outcomes that you haven't achieved, right? But if you keep reframing what you're doing, like imagine you keep laying railroad track, you keep setting this railroad track, you keep reframing, you keep moving this railroad track. Sooner or later, you're going to be able to move it to wherever destination you want. You're going to be able to go, instead of going from X to Y, you're going to be able to go to X to V, Stuff like that matters when it comes to progressing. Stuff like that matters when it comes to progression over again and again and again. Stuff like that matters. Being able to reframe it and be like, hey, I'm now, instead of me doing XYZ, instead of me doing, I'm now doing ABC. And when I do ABC, now I look like I can now have the ability to do ABC when I'm doing XYZ, because now I'm changing what I'm doing. I'm changing what I'm doing, and because what I change what I'm doing, I can focus on other things as I'm doing it. So just that's something to keep in mind. You don't want to be like I said, keep it one-dimensional. But also keep in mind that you can reframe things too, and that'll help you go. So thank you if you stuck around for this video. Thank you very much. Feel free to follow, like, and subscribe if you are interested in self-improvement. Thank you.